Everyone, welcome to the Stealing Insight YouTube channel. So today we'll be diving into an exciting topic in our PowerPoint series, and it's going to be advanced animations and transitions, how to make your presentation to stand out. Now I'm going to be using this slide. Just you understand that we are using currently a PowerPoint 2016. Despite its limitation, it has some advanced features that you can actually see in 2019 thereabout. However, let's dive in. Now, when we talk about the animations and transition, people do mistake it most of the time. The transition talks to the slide, while the animation talks to the text and the body of the presentation slide. So, for example, now we already have all of this slide and we want to animate it in order for it to give us much more better effect. So there are things that we can use, like you can see that when I click on the animation, it is black out, nothing is activated. If I should highlight the text, you can see that each of these things has been picked up. So now going to the transition, which is the first thing I want us to utilize, is that currently you see that the slide itself is on fade. So if we pick on the slideshow, you're just going to see it in this manner. So I would advise that you always stick to a very simple and subtle slide transition. The reason for this is because it helps your slide to be cool, and it also avoids distractions from the people you are engaging. So like you can see this slide is saying this, that we're having the accessibility of the and utilization of credit facility from financial institution. You can use several of them. Now, one of the things that I may advise is that this is the title page. When you're coming in for your slide, you can use any of the subtle or the dynamic content in order for you to create your slide. This is just like you are opening your document. Now, the next thing, if we pick up on this slide, you'll be noticing some things. Like by the time I pick up like this, you can see that the window slide that I just used is what was utilized. The next thing is the next slide. Now, please note, at this point where we are having this slideshow, you saw that the first thing that happens was that it brought out the image just because of the transition that was put there. Now, when I click on the next button, the title was eliminated. So I want to bring our attention to what really caused that. Now, that will lead me to animation. The animations, there are several classes of things that we can use in the animations. For the animations, when you pick on the drop down, you have the entrance. These are the things that you can use as a means of entrance for when you're animating, meaning for the entrance of the text into whatever you are doing. The second thing is that this is just for emphasis sake, you can move around, and this is when you are exiting the slide. Now you realize that the exit shows disappear. That's the reason this was disappeared. This disappeared rather. Now I don't really need that to happen because it doesn't really make any distinct difference or distinct any contribution to the slide. So I'm eliminating that and going back to my slideshow just for you to be able to see the effect of what I just said. I just did. You see that it's not, it's still fine now the way it is. So the transition and the animation. Now the next slide that we're moving on to, in order for us to be able to see, you see it's bringing this up, meaning there is a particular option that has been picked under the transition, which is the push. The push is a subtle, easy way to just move on. Now after that, we move on to the next slide. This next slide, you realize that this introduction has been tabulated. This is an animated uh, image that is actually moving, which you appreciate when give we actually make it a slideshow. So what I'm bringing to our notice here is that if I click on this text, you realize that I've animated this. This has been animated. The animation in such a way that I don't want in order to get the attention of the audience, this text has been animated in such a way that you just pick up on the text, and when you come to animation, what I pick is the random, that I just want it to be a flash of random. Then the next thing that was picked is this, that I just want this to be the wheel, just that. Okay, then the next thing is the third one, to float in. I'm picking on fly in now, so I'm changing the reference down in order for me to be able to see. So let's look at the outcome of what I just changed. Now immediately we have this. So now we have the introduction. The person started a conversation, and in order to get the attentions of the audience, the person shows this. By the time you speak to a particular section of the conversation, in order to engage them with the second point and the third, then refer people to the reference if need be. And that is that about that. Another thing about the animation is that you can always utilize more effect in animation. We'll be using the more effect in the two slides ahead. Now this, I just want to bring this to attention in order to utilize, instead of bringing your table once, look at what I'm trying to bring about here. Instead of using the table once we have the statement of research problem, we have the table slides in. When the table slides in, then you pick up the point just the way we did for the previous. You pick up the second point, the third, and the reference, and that settles that. The last, not the last. Now before we go to the last slide, I want to show us some things around more effects under animations. So when you get to animations, there are ways whereby if you click the drop down, you get the things that you can do. This is for the entrance animations, the emphasis, and the exit, meaning when it is being exited. And we have motion path whereby your text can move and the likes. Moreover, you can always get add utilize this add animation column in order to see a drop down of everything at this point, and with that you'll be able to get more things, and you can even use any of these in order to get more options for the animated of your text to be animated. And even this, let's use a bounce. So with these, that's the result, the outcome, and you'll be able to get things done without stress. For the transition as well, just like the animation, we can always change the effect of the transition. Like for this slide, I'm picking on cube. So for the cube, I can decide to make the cube just the way it is, and I can decide to make it from left to right instead of from right to left. So if I make it from left to right, I can decide to do that. And for these, I want to change to gallery. So this gallery, I can also change the effect from left to right instead of right to left. And if it is door, I can always change the effect to be horizontal instead of just using the what people have known around the animations. You can always turn it around with the effect, and for you to be able to see and to note. You can see double right. So with this, you're good. Now one thing is that I love the animation ripple for my thank you, and that's the reason you'll be seeing this on my thank you page, because it always gives me a sense of conclusion That's for me. And if you look at this slide, you're going to see that the thank you page is showing. Yes, thank you. Now, which is the concluding part of the slide. Alternatively, you can always decide to change this effect. Instead of it coming from there, it can be from the bottom, which is just like this. So let's quickly make a run through a slide in order for us to be able to do. Now, this is the first slide. This is the second slide. The third. This is just a simple slideshow of how to design her Microsoft PowerPoint with clarification on animations and transitions. Thank you for listening. Trust you learned something from this slide. And if you enjoyed the slide, ensure to click the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share with some other persons that love to learn the utilization of PowerPoint, either beginners or other people that needs to work more and understand deeper things around PowerPoint. Thank you and bye-bye.